In late 2016, something strange happened when you opened up Instagram. At the exact same second, everyone's feed filled up with this mysterious bright orange square. You couldn't scroll Instagram without seeing the orange squares from everyone. Every big influencer was posting it without explanation, from Kendall Jenner to Hailey Bieber. The only clue users had to go off of was the description that linked to the account and hashtag Fire Festival. A month later, this video was released.
The actual experience exceeds all expectations, and is something that's hard to put into words. All these things that may seem big and impossible are not. It gives people that type of energy, that type of power.
This flashy promo video promised paradise. 2 transformative weekends at the ultimate new luxury music festival on an island in the Bahamas once owned by Pablo Escobar, where you would be flown in on a private jet to a private island filled with the biggest stars and models, the biggest artists, and the finest food, while you dance the night away to music from Blink-182, Tyga, and more. And the best part? Tickets were on sale right now, for the luxurious price of $1,000 to $12,000 per tickets, or up to $250,000 for the super luxurious group VIP packages. The world had never seen such a music festival like this before. If you don't know, practically every music festival today are catered to the masses, the plebs. Think Coachella or EDC or Ultra. Tickets to these festivals only cost a few $100s, so practically everyone can afford to attend. If you want to ball out a tiny bit, there are VIP options and tables for more. But it was for the masses, the peasants. There was no exclusivity around it. But this new Fire Festival? It was high-end luxury. Luxury accommodation and gourmet dining was the standard. Only the world's most famous and wealthy would be attending. Pair that with the viral influencer marketing and Fire Festival blew up. In no time, 8,000 suckers had already bought the $1,000 to $12,000 tickets, making the company $26 million. It was unreal. But little did people know just how unreal this festival was. The wait must have been unbearable. But by the time April 2017 came around, it was finally time to escape to paradise. Attendees flew in, but by the time they stepped off the plane, paradise turned into hell on earth.
So we're currently in the dark, walking to try to find our luggage because we went to one place already, our luggage is not there. None of us know what to do now. It's getting late. Someone took our room. They told us that it was a free-for-all.
So we have nowhere to stay.
Nowhere to stay. Some people are missing bags.
We're just trying to get our bags.
Pitch black out. There's trucks, craziness going on everywhere. Nobody knows what to do. All the resorts nearby are sold out. It's an actual disaster. I've talked to like 5 different people that work for Fire Festival about trying to get a flight out of this place, and
we're stranded.
No one knows what to do.
This is what they got. Disaster relief tents and mattresses piled up in the dirt.
Well, those are your mattresses.
There are reports of feral dogs roaming the grounds. As for that gourmet food, here it is, a cheese sandwich in a styrofoam box. Now, total chaos has erupted. Fans are fleeing the Fire Festival on emergency flights out of the Bahamas.
Attendees were expecting a 5-star experience, but arrived to a dystopian wasteland, with FEMA relief tents, mattresses piled high in the rain, barely any food, and no way out. After all the hype, the Fire Festival turned out to be one of the biggest frauds in the history of the music industry. And it was all centered around one man, Billy McFarland. My name is Jake Tran. I make documentaries on money, power, war, and crime in my team. Subscribe for more. If you want to win $1,000 cash, all you have to do is follow me on Instagram at Jake Tran and you're automatically entered. A few of you have won already. Watch out for fake accounts. I would never message you asking for money or to invest. And this is the Fire Festival scam.
We'll turn now to that trouble for the Fire Music Festival. Hit with a class action
went so wrong. The Fire Festival was billed as a luxury destination music experience with beachside parties, fancy bungalows, and
Part of the reason the Fire Festival scam was so successful is that it sold the idea of luxury. If you come to Fire, you'll be around the rich and famous too. Unfortunately, the reality is that you can't get rich by buying a festival tickets, but you can get rich through investing. Right now is one of the best times to start investing in crypto. It is a giant dip after all, not a financial advisor. But the problem is crypto comes with a lot of taxes. So if only you could trade crypto without all the taxes. Well, that is where iTrust Capital comes in. iTrust Capital is the largest crypto IRA in the US. With iTrust Capital, you can invest in crypto through your individual retirement account, allowing you to grow your crypto tax-free. iTrust Capital has already handled over $5.5 billion in transactions, with some of the lowest service and trade fees on the markets. They have over 25 different cryptos you can choose from, and they're always adding more. You can trade 24/7 right on their mobile app. It's totally free to open up an account, and there are no hidden fees, monthly fees, or setup fees. Plus, iTrust Capital is super secure because they've partnered with industry-leading custody providers. There's literally never been a better time to get started. And as a special bonus for my viewers, if you open and fund an account right now, you'll get a $100 funding bonus added to your account. All you have to do is head over to itrust.capital/JakeTran with the link below and open a free account to learn more. That's itrust.capital/JakeTran for a $100 funding bonus with the link below. Thanks to iTrust Capital for sponsoring this video.
What you have to understand about the startup world is that usually the people who are the best at BSing, the ones that are the best at painting the grand vision of how their startup is going to change the world, the ones that are best at bending the truth and fudging the numbers to get that check to keep their company alive, are usually the ones that come out on top.
$22 billion in 3 hours! Can you believe it?
The problem comes when you bend the truth a little too fair, like Elizabeth Holmes did with Theranos. And that's the same problem our guy, Billy McFarland, had with the Fyre Festival. Before the Fyre Festival, Billy was hungry. He wanted the money, the fame, the status, the notoriety, and he always found the luxury industry sexy and appealing. So he first tried his hand at a company that turned people's boring entry-level plastic credit cards into these cool black metal cards, just like the ultra-exclusive Black American Express cards reserved only for the highest spenders. These new credit cards would also promise cool trips and concert tickets that some members say weren't delivered. That venture crashed and burned, so he turned to his next idea, selling people tickets to shows he didn't have. Billy went from peddling knockoff Amex Black cards to going around promising front row seats to Beyonce and 200 tickets to the Broadway show Hamilton, all in the space of just a few months. But by the time the show came around, he was actually just using the money from new buyers to purchase tickets for the old buyers, which kinda sounds like a Ponzi scheme. Billy McFarland learned two important things from these two business ventures. First, he learned that he wanted to sell luxury. Second, it's okay if you haven't actually built the thing you're selling, because you can always fulfill on your promise later. With that knowledge in hand, Billy was ready to start the next chapter of his life, and it would turn into his magnum opus, his life's work. So Billy got to thinking, festivals. You see, after the first really big, really successful Woodstock Music Festival more than 50 years ago, entrepreneurs realized they were sitting on a gold mine. They realized that people's lives had become so normal, so boring, that almost anyone would jump at the chance to buy a ticket to one of these music festivals to escape their boring everyday lives. Within just a few decades, what had started as a celebration of peace, love, and music had remained a celebration of peace, love, and music while raking in billions of dollars every year. Today, festivals like Coachella have become kinda like a yearly ritual for everyone from the biggest celebrities to Instagram influencers and to music lovers alike. It's the yearly gathering that you had to go to, and that kind of social status. To be the guy that put together the event that everyone goes to appealed to Billy. He wanted to kind of be like Pasquale Rotella, the guy behind Insomniac, the company that runs EDM festivals like EDC, but he wanted to be even more exclusive, more luxurious, more high status. So he came up with the idea for the Fyre Festival. The problem was, it didn't go much further than just an idea. For Billy, once he had the name, the rest was easy. He partnered with a name that almost everyone knew, Ja Rule, a famous rapper from the early 2000s. The rapper was just famous enough that people would believe Firefest had to be legit. I mean, what famous person would slap their name on a fake festival? The two of them fly from New York to the Bahamas to scout for a location. Their plane runs out of gas, so they land on Exumas, a group of islands in the Bahamas, and apparently, they immediately fell in love with the place. It seemed like the Bahamas was the perfect location. It was close enough to the United States that it was easy to get to, but far away enough that it was still an adventure. People already associated it with resorts and luxury, and there were lots of hard-working locals that can make the whole thing come to life. So the two immediately launch a website and start putting together the infamous social media blitz attack that would be the orange squares on Instagram. even as it slowly dawned on them that the island didn't have a really great infrastructure, that there wasn't a great way to get guests there, that there wasn't any running water or sewage, that it was almost like we tried building a city out of nothing. But just like other ambitious entrepreneurs, Billy believed in moving fast and breaking things, so he had faith and pressed on.
These things are not. It gives people that type of energy, that type of power.
As soon as Billy pitched the idea for Fire Festival, pretty much everyone he went to make it happen told him it would never work. From vendors to contractors to the locals who actually lived on the island he had chosen. Billy wanted to throw the festival on an island without any infrastructure. Anything even near his dreams of 5-star villas and massive stages would take at least a year to build. But it was late 2016, and the festival was only a few months away in late April 2017. And on top of that, he didn't have anywhere near enough money to pay for all the stuff he was promising. In fact, Fire Media made not even $60,000 in revenue between May 2016 and April 2017. They made $57,443. By December 2016, the infamous Orange Square Instagram campaign had launched. And to supplement it, models like Bella Hadid and Emily Ratajkowski were flown down to give their stamp of approval for the Fire Festival. According to an article in Elle magazine, festival goers could look forward to, quote, yoga on the beach, water trampolines, sea bobbing, music, art, food, and $1 million of real treasure and jewels hidden around the island, end quote. From there, the hype and press just continued. By March 12th, 2 months out from the festival, words leak out that the headliners are going to include giants like Blink-182, Migos, and Lil Yachty. Everything on the outside was looking great, but not too long after, talent producer Chloe Gordon arrives to the island 6 weeks before the festival was set to take place, and things were not looking good. Writing in New York Magazine, she said, quote, "Flying in, the water looked beautiful, but I was almost immediately warned not to go near it because of a rampant shark problem. That was an omen I regrettably missed," end quote. Quote, "After we landed, we drove to the festival site to assess our goods. When we arrived, my initial reaction was, this was not a model-filled private K that was owned by Pablo Escobar. This was a development lot covered in gravel with a few tractors scattered around. There was not enough space to build all the tents and green rooms they would need. There was not a long, beautiful beach populated by swimming pigs. There were, however, a lot of sandflies that left me looking like I had smallpox. Still, I had hope," end quote. Quote, "Before we arrived, we were led to believe things had been in motion for a while, but nothing had been done. Festival vendors weren't in place, no stage had been rented, transport had not been arranged. Frankly, we were standing on an empty gravel pit and no one had any idea how we were going to build a festival village from scratch," end quote. She soon found out that artists had not been paid yet. People started raising doubts as to whether or not they could pull it off. But the rapper in partnership with Billy, however, Ja Rule, wasn't having any of it. Quote, "To living like movie stars, partying like rock stars, and f***ing like porn stars," end quote. He allegedly toasted after the Fire team decided to plow ahead. Again, this is 6 weeks away from the festival and nothing was even close to being ready. April 2nd, less than a few weeks away from the festival, the Wall Street Journal blows the first whistle with the headline, quote, "At up to $250,000 a ticket, Island Music Festival woos wealthy to stay afloat," end quote. The article warned that some artists had not been paid yet, and that fans who bought VIP tickets that included travel and accommodations were getting nervous because, quote, "the festival's concierge team has been slow to provide them with logistical details," end quote. It also turned out that around this time, Billy's company actually defaulted on a nearly $3 million loan, while a potential investment from Comcast Ventures worth up to $20 million fell through. But there was no turning back now, so Billy just kept believing that right up until the festival. And that's when everything went up in flames. April 27th, a day before the festival starts. Blink-182 announces on Twitter that they're pulling out of the Fire Festival because we're not confident that we would have what we need to give you the quality of performances we always give fans. Around the same time, attendees started flooding Twitter and Reddit, exposing just how bad the situation on the ground was. Instead of being flown to the island in a custom private jet, people were left stuck at the airports for hours. The people who actually made it to the island weren't greeted by smiling staff members and welcome drinks. They arrived to the site of workers and 18-wheelers scrambling to put things together. Instead of the beautiful, luxurious villas, there were half-set-up FEMA relief tents. And the mattresses that people were supposed to sleep on? They were littered all over the ground and soaked with rain. There were no 5-star chefs or gourmet food. There were cheese slices on white bread. The few Fire Festival staff that were there were throwing people's luggage from a shipping container. By now, it was obvious that the Fire Festival wasn't gonna happen, and now the only thing anyone wanted to do was get off the island. But even that was nearly impossible. All over the island, people were kept waiting with no news on flights home or how to get out. It was a disaster. After the Fire Festival went up in flames, the world was waiting to see how Billy would be held accountable. After all, he was the mastermind of it all. In the end, Billy was convicted of fraud. He had conned investors and festival goers out of $26 million. And even though prosecutors recommended that he spend at least a decade in jail, he was sentenced to just 6 years in prison in October 2018. He was also ordered to pay back to $26 million, but it's not likely that'll happen anytime soon. Only a few months ago, Billy was actually released from jail to a halfway house, more than a year earlier than planned. Today, he insists that all his future business endeavors will be dedicated to paying back the people he defrauded. Ja Rule, Billy's partner in Fire Festival, was never charged with any crimes. But perhaps the most devastating impact that the Fire Festival had was the mark it made on the Bahamas. Fire Media had hired hundreds of local workers to help with the festival, and when it all went belly up, they ran away and never paid any of them. One local caterer named Marianne Roll spent around $50,000 on equipment and stock when she was hired to work at Fire Festival. But when everything went down, she was left with nothing. It was only thanks to a fundraising campaign that she ended up recouping her losses. Many of the other workers in the Bahamas weren't as lucky, and they still haven't received a dime. You know who else had an island in the Caribbean? Jeffrey Epstein. Recently, his accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell was just sentenced to 20 years in prison for her involvement in their operation. And yet no one seems to be in a rush to go after Jeffrey and Ghislaine's customers. Why is that? How did their operation come about? How much leverage did they really have over the rich and powerful? That's why we did a deep dive into the life of the infamous Jeffrey Epstein and pieced his life together in a feature-length documentary. But the thing is, we can still barely say his name without getting demonetized, let alone publicly post an entire documentary on his life. Which is why we released it as a full-length private documentary that goes into all the disturbing details of Jeffrey Epstein. His early life, his sketchy path to wealth, the sick stuff that eventually made the world know his name, and much more. So far, channel members have been loving all these exclusive private documentaries. And all you have to do to get access to our Epstein documentary right now, and all the other full-length documentaries that are too risky or too twisted to post publicly, is to click the join button below. After signing up, you'll have exclusive access to the Jeffrey Epstein documentary, and others like the Bin Laden Papers, the Roots of Middle Eastern Terror, MKUltra, and much more to come. This is all the stuff you should be learning about in school and university, but definitely aren't. And unlike university, you can get all of this for just $5 a month. And there's a refund policy too, unlike most YouTube memberships. So if you join and you don't think it's worth it, email us within your first month of joining and we will personally refund you for your first month. After your first month, there is no refund. Pause the video right now and click that join button below.
Super interesting story that I wanted to cover, so if you enjoyed it, let me know what you thought in the comments below. Remember, you can follow me on Instagram for a chance to win $1,000. I'm not sure how much longer we're gonna run the competition, so make sure you get in there while you can. Oh yeah, we're also posting short versions of these videos on our Facebook page, so if you use Facebook, make sure you follow the page with the link below. But that's gonna wrap it up. Stay dangerous out there, and I will see you guys in the next one.